What is up, everybody? You guys are tuned into another segment of DJ Sports Play. And in today's segment, we will be discussing Jesse Minter's first head coach press conference as the Baltimore Ravens' new head coach. So let's get into it. So my takeaway from this press conference was that, man, he was doing a great job answering the questions. And from one of the reporters, they asked, are you going to be in charge of calling the plays while you're on the sideline? And Jesse Minter said, yes, that's what they brought me here for. And I was very excited to hear that because with John Harbaugh, he really wasn't in control of the play calling. He would hold the play sheet, but was he really calling the plays? I feel like it was really the offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, who was calling the plays for him. He wasn't really in charge of the whole situation. But now with Jesse Minter being like a former DC, he's going to know how to call the defense, and he's going to know how to scheme and dial stuff up, especially in late games when we need it. Because, you know, when we had John Harbaugh, we were prone to choking double-digit leads. So I was very excited and intrigued to hear that Jesse Minter will be calling the plays on defense. Now, the question is now, though, who are we going to get as offensive coordinator? Because I think Sheil Hayes is going to be staying with the Los Angeles Rams. You know, David Webb is still out there for the Denver Broncos, so he could be someone that we're looking for. Or Doyle from the Chicago Bears, their passing game coordinator. He's still available on the market. We know that Joe Brady was an option, but he's now the Buffalo Bills head coach. And Cliff Kingsbury is still available, so it's going to come down to who really can connect with Lamar. I know Lamar said that he wants Cliff Kingsbury to be the offensive coordinator. So if that's the route that Minter feels is good for the team and the offense, then let's make the move. Let's get it done because we don't want to be waiting around and then we get stuck with somebody that we don't want. But another thing that I took from this press conference was that Jesse Minter was very into changing the defensive culture around because he knows that last year the defense wasn't playing at its best at all. He knows that the defense had its struggles, and Jesse Minter knows that even in the playoffs too, that our defense doesn't really force turnovers and it doesn't play at that same level that it is usually playing at in like the early 2000s when the defense was absolutely locked down. They would get teams off the field in an instant and let the offense do the rest of the work. He knows that we need to get back to that gritty, aggressive style of football, hard-nosed tackling, all of that. That's where the Ravens defense needs to be again, because if we can get back to that, I'm telling you, the Baltimore Ravens could be a dangerous team again, and nobody's going to want to see us in the playoffs, especially if Lamar can get his act together and start playing like his MVP version, like he does in the regular season. It's going to be hard to beat the Baltimore Ravens because I know what this team is capable of. It was great to also see that Jesse Minter said he had a conversation with Lamar over the phone. They didn't really get to talk much in person because Lamar didn't show up to the press conference today. He was at home watching, possibly in Florida, but it was great to hear that Jesse Minter and Lamar have been talking about the moves that are possibly going to be made in the future, and the sky's the limit for the offense and what Jesse Minter can do with this team. The goal is really for Jesse Minter is to elevate this team, not just have a good record in the regular season, but actually do something when it really matters. The regular season is fine. You got to be able to have a winning record in the regular season and all that, but when the playoffs hit, you have to be able to play your best football at all times. You can't really have turnovers. You can't really have too many mistakes because the teams who have those critical mistakes at the worst times, those are usually the teams that are packing their bags and going home early. We can't have that. We want championships. We want to keep building on the rings that we already have. We don't want to just be the teams that just stuck at 2 rings forever. We actually are in it to win the whole thing. We don't want to just settle for less. That's not what Ravens fans are looking for anymore. They want us to actually complete the mission and do what's necessary to get the job done. So Jesse Minter, I feel like he was the perfect choice to be our head coach. Now, people are going to say Jesse Minter was a part of the Harbaugh tree, which is kind of true, but kind of isn't at the same time because he was up with Mike Macdonald. He did learn a lot from Mike Macdonald. I know he was with John Harbaugh too, though, as the defensive backs coach, but he was with Mike Macdonald too, and I feel like Jesse Minter could be at that Mike Macdonald type of potential if he really lives up to what he says he is, because I know that he developed that Chargers defense really well. He developed players that he made sure that players who had down years had leap years. They were going up. They were progressing. They weren't regressing, if you know what I'm trying to say. So it's very important that the Ravens continue to build throughout the draft, the free agency, and make some upgrades and get better, because we don't want to just be in the same spot that we were last year, starting off slow, losing games, and then having to claw our way back. We don't want to be that. We want to be consistent the whole way through. And this press conference actually gave me hope as a Ravens fan, because Jesse Minter will actually be involved with the team, and he will actually be calling plays, making sure that the scheme is right, making sure the players are in the right spots, making sure that players take that from year one and rookies take that leap, which is what we need to succeed. We need to make sure that we're the AFC North champs, not the Steelers, not the Cincinnati Bengals, not the Cleveland Browns. We need to make sure that when we play those teams, that we put a stamp on the game. We make sure that they're not even in it. Make sure the game's not even close. We need to play hard-nosed football at all times and make sure that we dominate. Be physical at the line of scrimmage. Score points on offense. Make sure that the other team isn't scoring as much points and hold them to field goals. That's what this team needs to be like. It needs to be set at that standard. It was actually great to hear that Jesse Minter was very excited to get to work with our guys, and make sure that they're playing at their highest level when it's necessary. It was great to hear from EDC too. I know he's been working all day and night to find the head coach. Steve Bisciotti too. I know it was tough for them to move on from Harbaugh because he's been with the team for 18 years. He's been in the AFC championships. He got a ring while he was a head coach with us. But at the end of the day, if your team is losing with an MVP caliber quarterback, you're going to expect changes. Fans are going to question whether is it the player or is it the head coach who's holding the team back, because we've had the talent for years, but we go to the playoffs and lose. Like, that's not how it should go. We should be winning these games and keep on advancing until we get to the Super Bowl and then win the Super Bowl. That's what the ultimate goal needs to be. I know it's not guaranteed that you win a Super Bowl every year, but at the end of the day, the team has to put their best foot forward and not choke under pressure. And they got to know when to actually lock in and do their jobs. That's what Ravens pride is all about. That's what Ravens football in general is all about. We need the team to be on its 10 toes at any means possible. They need to make sure that they're keyed in, dialed in, and locked in, because we're trying to get to the finish line. We don't want to just go to the playoffs and get blown out or lose. That's not what the plan needs to be at all, regardless. So, yeah, that press conference was great to me. I got to hear great insight from Jesse Minter, and not just Jesse Minter. We got to hear from Sashi Brown and EDC on what they thought of Jesse Minter being the AC and what their plans are going into the draft and free agency and who the targets are. Now, this draft and free agency are really important. You know we need trench help. You know we need defensive line help. You know we need to maybe get a new corner, since I don't know if we're signing Marlon Humphrey or not, but changes need to be made and upgrades need to be made immediately if we want to get to where we want to go. And Jesse Minter, throughout this press conference, was giving all the Ravens fans hope. He was getting us really excited of what the future can hold. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've been waiting for a ring for years. Like, we had our chance in 2023 and blew it. And we don't want that to happen again. We want to make sure when we're in the playoffs that we're locked in and that we're making sure we need to make the necessary plays and score enough points to advance and actually force turnovers. That's been our problem for years, and not having a great pass rush. QBs would just be ordering DoorDash back there, sitting back there chilling. They would have all day to throw the ball, and we would get no pressure and no sacks. They would just dink and dunk or throw intermediate or throw a deep ball, and we would get cooked every time. And that's not what we're looking for, period. So, yeah, man, this is basically what I thought about the press conference in general, man. It was amazing to hear that Jesse Minter is actually glued into what the Ravens have going on. He's been a part of the culture before, so he knows what the standard is. He knows that the play like a Raven slogan and what that really stands for and what that means to us. So it was great to hear that Jesse Minter is actually interested in what we got going on. And I believe that Jesse Minter can get us to a Super Bowl. It's really all about the guys he keeps bringing in and the players that are put together for the roster. We need to make sure this 53-man roster is on point, and we need to make sure that we're good in all three levels: offense, defense, and special teams. That's what it all comes down to. And we need to make sure that Lamar has enough weapons that he can utilize so his offense can be explosive. And we need to make sure that we get better offensive guards, because that's what really held us back last season. So, yeah, guys, this has been another segment of DJ Sports Play. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel at DJ Sports Play. Also, follow me on Instagram at DJ Sports Play. And yeah, guys, this has been another episode. This is Darren, and I'm signing off. See you guys later.